welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWPradio.org. And we just had, you're in the Talk of the Town segment right now. We just had a great guest, Marielle Hunterberg, who is the Director of Speech Therapy at Metro Occupational Physical Therapy. Well known, I think it's so much well known if you say Metro PT. Right? Everyone knows, everyone's heard of it. But you know, what a great guest, a whole different way of looking at things. You know, it's so amazing, Kristina. We've had so many guests on the show. You've brought in so many specialists and therapists and doctors and elder law attorneys and you know, especially I think in the healthcare field, health and mental health, there's always something new, or maybe it's not even new.
But it's like a specialty. Yeah, absolutely. And that's you know, and I just want everyone to know, if you're watching this on North Hempstead TV, Talk of the Town, you can see the previous segment at a different time. If you look at the schedule, I just always want people to be aware. You could certainly find that information. It's just, you know, we've done a lot of fall prevention. I mean, we're always talking about fall prevention. I mean, we provide fall prevention classes. We have speakers on, you know, and when Metro PT, when they had reached out to me and we were like trying to think of a topic and they had brought up this dual testing, I was like, oh, that's like an interesting spin on things, you know, and that was like what I really loved about the interview with Marielle regarding it, because I think it's something that's fun and people are more likely to partake in some kind of activity like this if it's fun. You know, I know so many people that unfortunately have had to go to, you know, PT for an injury and they like dread it every week. Like, oh, I gotta get, you know, like, and it's just, but I love that something like this, and especially for a senior that could be struggling with a whole host of issues, you know, if we're talking about memory impairment, you know, and dementia and stuff, you know. And I know that because I've seen that, and I think this goes for any age. You know, when you are playing these things, you feel like you accomplish something when you can get it. You know what I mean? It's like I mean, my family, we're always asking each other questions or doing some kind of trivia thing. You know, that tends to be like our thing. And when you feel like, all right, cool, you know, so it gives you like this positive feeling as well. So that's what I'm always just so amazed about when you know, because you'll see the topic and you say, okay, but then when you really get into the meat of it, and how it's all kind of interconnected and benefits, you know, all different parts of your body. It's, you know, just so interesting. And especially with Metro PT, you know, really incorporating the mental health wellness component into things now is just really incredible. So listen, the team approach always seems to be the best way.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
You know, one of the things she was saying too, you know, just it made me think so much, is we don't invest enough in preventative care. And have, you know, if we did, you know, there would be a lot less injuries, just kind of, you know, bring like someone, you know, maybe like when you get to a certain age, like once you hit 65, you automatically have to go to, you know, physical therapy. You can, if you choose, go to a physical therapist for preventative fall lessons. And, you know, and that's good that, you know, we do teach that, we do have that here with Project Independence. So you can always call 311 and find out about our fall prevention programs, and, you know, or speak to a social worker or a nurse, and, you know, they can talk with you and maybe find out a way that, you know, like Marielle was saying, you can go to your doctor. Maybe you have an older injury, you know, maybe you have compensated for so many years and you may not even realize it, and you need to balance out, you know, and you have to learn how, you have to like relearn how to do things like that. So there are ways to kind of, you know, really legitimately go to physical therapy or occupational therapy and kind of then in addition learn these fall prevention tasks and dual action things. And you know, absolutely. I felt very satisfied because there was a time where when I was losing those words that I once had, and I knew exactly what I went, and I would have to go to my computer and find it, go to the thesaurus and figure, oh, that's what, you know, of course. But then I started in my own head doing this like little association game, which I kind of like. It's kind of fun, and I have
because it is. It's like because it's brain games, you know, and like I mean, essentially. And I love that you did do that, because I think, you know, there's such a combination that goes into this, you know, and on top of it, I think we are in a place where like we're going a bazillion miles an hour, you know, half the time, and so like your brain is just, I mean, I know my own brain is like on so many different things at one time, and I think, you know, to slow down, to think about these words, and listen. I think cell phones are great, but I also think, I am the queen of being terrible at directions. Why? Because I'm like, oh, I have GPS. When she said that, I was like
Right.
laughing because I was like, this is me, and like, so you're never giving yourself, your brain, the ability to, and I like that you don't jump to Google the word, like, what is this word, because you could find it in 2 seconds.
Right.
You're like actually using, the muscles in your brain to like get the word without having to Google it. I mean, we laugh in my family all the time because all of us are like, that actor that was in that movie, and he got blonde hair, and like, you're trying to like piece this all together. And when back in the day we would do that, we'd all be sitting there forever, like trying to drum up like who this person is. But now you like type it in your phone and boom, you have the answer, which is great on one hand because you instantly have that. But I do believe, it's taking away a lot of that critical thinking and piecing together stuff as well. So
Yeah.
I think it's, it has like it's positive and it's negatives with that kind of situation. But I like your little tip. You gave like your own little golden nugget back. And I
Yeah.
think these are things that people certainly can do. And I just loved Marielle's like little at home kind of suggestions about things. Because listen, the fact of the matter is, as she was talking, there was so much going on in my brain, like, oh wait, that's a dual task activity, like things you just take for granted. So I'm sure like a lot of us and a lot of our listeners probably do kind of inherently have like dual task stuff, but I think being aware of it is important. So, and I like that she incorporated like do it with your grandkids, like because
Right.
it's fun. Like who
Right.
wouldn't like want to like throw a ball around and guess that? And it's I love that these are certainly fun ways to kind of keep your body and brain healthy.
Right, right. I mean, don't look at it as a chore.
Right.
It's more of this, how can I have fun while I'm doing it with family?
Mhm.
And if you are doing those kinds of things, know that it is helpful for you,
Right. Absolutely.
those kinds of things. But, I always say, be very careful of things in your home that could make you trip because you don't need it. You really don't. And it may look really good in the house, and I get that totally, but
Mhm.
clear it all out. Don't have an opportunity to fall. And, because if your house isn't set up, you
Yeah.
can't get back in. I mean, that's the scariest thing. You want to make sure that your house is super accessible and, do as much as you can and just, keep the things away from you that are going to hurt
And
you.
it's, I love, and obviously we mention them all the time, but two of our partners in Project Independence is our TRI Help at Home program and our
Yes.
Rebuilding Together program. And just, that in itself is just so incredible, because you call 311, you get connected to one of our social workers. They meet with you, can do kind of a home assessment situation and really give you recommendations, like, things you might not think, like, hey, like that's not a great idea, and like, so with TRI, like a lot of these North Hempstead homes are beautiful, but they've been around for a long time, so they're not, necessarily widened, doorways,
Right.
so, and then the ceilings are high, so it's like things that we always say you took for granted with changing a light bulb now can really put you in an extremely dangerous situation if you're trying to get up on a step stool, so what's so wonderful is because the requests come into me, so I get to kind of see and gauge what the needs are. And so many requests for changing light bulbs and changing batteries for smoke detectors have been coming in recently. And I just think that's just so amazing because it's these
Right.
simple little things that really, I mean, allow you to age at home.
Right.
I mean, that's the
Exactly.
goal. And Rebuilding Together does more intensive kind of work.
Right.
That's, but a huge request are these grab bars, are these railings, so the fact that, our social worker, makes a connection and then Rebuilding has their person come in and kind of see, like, look around and say, all right, like, this would really be beneficial here. So these little modifications, and I'm such a proponent of a railing and a grab bar because when my grandfather was like like really struggling, as I had mentioned, he had a lot of difficulties and strength based kind of
And then
struggles.
neuropathy in the feet
Yeah,
too.
and that was, and because that he was always falling because of that. He wasn't cognitively impaired. It was
Right.
literally just that. And then, me and my mom would be trying to lift up a man who's, taller than us and like kind of like just dead weight. It was very hard. But I remember we had put up a bunch of different grab bars in locations, and because we had him like lying down, say like, all right, where do you normally, like, let's just map it out. Where would you try and get out of bed? Like, so it's so
Right.
important to, because it literally, I mean, in the shower, Listen, and that's for people like we're not talking you have to be, 80 plus years old for these things. It
Right.
really can be. I even see with my own parents, who are in their 70s, this strength-based stuff, and it takes time and to have something sturdy to grab onto can really change your whole game plan, which is so wonderful. So I really encourage people to call 311 because meeting with our social worker or nurse really is the initial contact to get connected to all these things, and as we mentioned, Metro PT is one of the tools in our toolbox. We're able to refer and kind of see where your needs are, which is
Right. And we're here for you. We're here for the
yeah,
residents of the town. And you have these great, services and programs and we're happy to help. And it's
yeah,
not even, and it's not even to be looked upon as, oh, I don't need that kind of help. I don't need help.
yeah,
It's not, it's more, kind of like we're learning too. That's why we
hmm,
have these guests on the show. Our
right.
social workers and our nurses are also always learning, and these kind of more progressive techniques come around. And it's great, and it's really great. We're here. We're here.
Yeah,
You just call 311. And if there is a program or service that we don't have, we're not going to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have it."
right.
We'll let you know. If that program exists or how maybe it's in Nassau, maybe it's somewhere else. But we will help. We will help connect you
No, and I
to
think that's what's and that's
programs.
such a good point back about like the learning piece because Project Independence at a whole, you have our small little Department of Services for the aging team, and then you have our subcontract social workers and nurses, and we're a small little, unit but there's a constant flow of information going in and whether it's and that's why I love this show because we take this information, we send it out to our staff, and now they have this, because it's all about building that network to really help a senior age in place. I mean, how many times do we send out emails like, up here's another tool for our toolbox, because
Right.
there's so many organizations out there, and even us being in the field, are constantly learning these new things. As I said, with dual task, like, okay, like, conceptually, I was like, all right, I can kind of like gauge what this is, but, to really get into it and understand the benefits, I think is just so amazing, and with our nurses provide these watch your step fall prevention programs. And what I love about that too, it's not just focusing on exercise. It's bringing in, a nutritionist, or, we'll have Sherry, our mobility manager, come in and kind of talk about pedestrian safety or something, like, and so it's all these different things that really allow you to be safe, and age in place. So it's just absolutely incredible. And I encourage
Yeah.
people to do these things, right? So
Call
no,
311.
they're
And we'd love to
wonderful.
have people kind of come into our advisory board that meets at Clinton
Mhm.
Martin Park right now. Our last one is in June, and I know
Yep,
we'll
June
talk a little bit
14th.
more
Yeah.
about it, but just come and see what we're doing. We
Yeah.
always Christina has been booking like tremendous speakers each week, and I mean it's really it's educational. You're learning about what's going on with Project Independence, and then we have an open time frame where we listen to you.
Right.
What are your needs are? And I remember it was very simple because we do have a large staff of nurses and social workers, and names pretty much stay the same with our staff. However, a lot of people that are newer, someone just said, gee, I don't know who anybody really is from
Right.
looking at them and their names. So Kristina pulled together this beautiful couple of pages
Mhm.
of who everybody is, their picture, their name, their region, and we gave it out. So like, where we want to hear what your needs are, and that made a lot of sense. And, we just didn't think about it because, here we are.
Right.
Hey, I'm Rebecca.
Absolutely.
How many times do you see me? You know me,
Yeah.
I'm Rebecca. Well, you know what? Really, we don't see,
Right.
they only see me when I'm at a meeting, or they
Mhm.
only see, Kristina at, a health chat or something like that. So they're not familiar,
Well,
but
it is too what I think, and I love that you mentioned that because, Project Independence at its core is a grassroots kind of organization, which I think is so special because no matter what, listen, we've been around for many, many years. Obviously, we've grown tremendously. The amount of membership, I think we're almost at like 16,000 or so. There was some crazy number. And, but at its core, it is this grassroots thing. And, it is this. And that's what I think is so special, even about North Hempstead's call center. I mean, we all know it is very rare nowadays to pick up a phone and call, and actually there's a real human person you're
right,
talking to that's, local. I mean, it's just that in itself is so huge. So the fact that, we're able to, put a face name, and people want to have relationships, I mean, we talk to people all day long on the phone or through email, but to really get that face-to-face connection with these seniors, I think makes it so special because it makes the program more of a personalized program to them, in their community, which I think is so special. So,
Oh, yeah,
which is great.
absolutely.
But Beck had mentioned actually our next advisory committee is June 14th, I believe. We're going to have a wonderful speaker as well because it is Alzheimer's and Brain Health Awareness Month in June. So I didn't want to mess that up. But we're going to have a speaker on. Okay, you have June 14th.
Right.
It is going to be at 10 o'clock at Clinton G. Martin Park. And our speaker is Melissa Katz, who is from the Long Island Alzheimer's and Dementia Center. And she's going to talk about Alzheimer's Brain Awareness Month and just healthy living for your brain and body.
Okay, great. So that's June 14th.
It's in person or virtual.
That's right. We actually have to take a break. You're listening to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We'll be back after a quick break with Talk of the Town.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. You know, those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller along with Kristina Liu and Dan Cox. We missing Otto, but I know that he's having a really good time with the grandkids. So I
feel like Otto would have loved our first hour with Marielle from Metro PT talking about the dual tasks. Because I feel like Otto probably does. I'm going to bring it up next week.
Yeah.
I think Otto is the king of some dual tasks.
Yes.
Certainly. But
I'm sure those breaks would have involved a lot of questions.
Oh, yes. Dan would have been yelling at.
Right.
But next week, we actually have on Vincent Drewicki, which should be quite a tongue twister next week. From Cornell,
Thanks for that one.
The Cornell Cooperative Extension of Nassau County, who is a great partner to us. And we usually have them on to discuss nutrition. They do a great program at Magnolia Gardens, all about kind of different nutrition elements. But they also have a wonderful horticulture department. So when I was talking to them, I connected. So they're gonna, he's gonna come on, Vincent, to discuss "You're Never Too Old to Harvest: The Benefits of Gardening." So I thought it was a fun little seasonal topic to talk about. You always hear really the benefits, not only about being outside, but, having things grow. So I'm very excited. So he will be on next week. Once again, if you ever miss any of our shows, as Beck had mentioned earlier, we have so many different topics that really cover all the bases. You can go to the WCWP YouTube page, or you can visit our Project Independence website. All the episodes are archived on there. And if you ever have a suggestion for a topic, please call 311 or 516-869-6311, because that's some of the best, topics I find. I constantly get calls from people saying, "Oh, I'd like to hear about this," or, it'll come up one of our advisory meetings, a great topic. So we try and certainly have a whole variety of topics to discuss. So
yeah, Kristina, not to put the pressure on you, but when are we going to have our next international guest?
I know, it's funny that you said that. I mean, we really went in with a bang with having our Drums Alive woman from Germany. So I'm gonna have to do some research and see. But that's the beauty of Zoom. We're able to do that.
Maybe we can get somebody from down under.
I like that. I'm into that. We'll start off with Hugh Jackman. We'll shoot.
Yes. That would be my preference.
And some other topics that will be coming up. We have Project Help Long Island, education and awareness on mental health and addiction. We're also going to have the latest tips on frauds and scams, including artificial intelligence. Speaking of this actually came
Yes.
up as we were discussing with our advisory committees. A lot of seniors were bringing this topic up because they were very scared. You hear all these things on the news and they're confused by it. So I reached out to one of our great partners over at Family and Children's, and they're going to come on to discuss that. And then we're just going to have a bunch of other stuff. I'm scheduling July stuff too. So all good topics. So check that
it's gonna
out,
be
please.
interesting. Absolutely. Absolutely. So June is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month. So perfect. Kristina got the speaker for our advisory meeting. And again, please come on down. Clinton G. Martin Park, or you can sign on virtually through Zoom. You can even call in and you'll link in through the Zoom link. So
and it's just and also want people to always be aware too that if you're not able to come in person, I'm more than happy to mail you a packet of all of our, everyone gets a packet of a lot of information and upcoming programs. You can always call 311 and I could certainly mail that out to you. And you could also call 311 to join our e-newsletter list, which is really great. I think we're almost at 5,000 people.
unbelievable.
We're on the list. So that comes out once a month, and that's a newsletter that's filled with all of the Project Independence programs coming up. On top of that, all like different North Hempstead programs. I mean, there's so much constantly going on North Hempstead as a whole. So I really encourage people, if you have access to that, or even if you're a caregiver, or just someone who is in the community that provides services for seniors, you can absolutely sign up for that too. It's not just for seniors to sign up for the e-newsletter. So
Kristina, let me ask you a question. Do you know offhand how many of our programs are both virtual and in person?
Well, currently we have that Northwell is providing a program through our nurses, which is like a Heart Smart program. So that's actually like a collaborative virtual and in-person situation. Then we have some programs that are just solely wanted to stay virtual. So like our social discussion group is still virtual, only because the men of the group and women of the group, they preferred that was just easier for them and worked out better for them for a whole host of reasons. The men's group that we actually have, meets at the Hillside Library. That's both virtual and in person. Too. And then as we had mentioned, of course, our advisory committee meetings do that as well. So, it's really what the kind of preference of the group is itself. Obviously there's it's been nice because we're able to do kind of more in-person things again. But if a speaker can only do a virtual situation, that we're able, that's the beauty of things now, we're able to kind of do both. So and as I mentioned, it's not just related to COVID. It's hard to, if in the winter months or in the when it's raining or it's super hot, whatever it might be, having
even if you're away, what if you're like vacationing or you're visiting the the family?
So great, because I remember in our advisory committees when we were it was a lot of people were able to do it that might be snowbirds in Florida, could still kind of get what's going on within Project Independence, which is just wonderful. And of course we have our great North Hempstead programs on North Hempstead TV, that are still going strong. Obviously you might be watching us right now on there. But Beck also has wonderful exercise programs, and that was something that really started during COVID, but is still so extremely popular. I mean, I think everyone went to a panic, like we're still going to have, North Hempstead TV exercise, because I think, having that luxury of being able to partake in programs in the home is just, or supplemented even, is really, is really.
Right. And what I loved about what we learned after we started airing it, which really was so that we can still offer classes during COVID when people couldn't get out. What we didn't realize, for people who weren't maybe technology savvy or just didn't have a laptop or didn't want to bother because they could watch it on their home television set, was it reached people who never knew anything about us or never even exercised before. I mean, we were getting 311 calls thanking us. I never did this. I didn't know you could do this on the chair. I watch it every day. It was kind of just a little nugget, as you always say. So like, wow, you know what? There are people out there that still, watch television and, and don't really use their computer. So, we were able to kind of connect with those residents as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's still funny because I was just at a party for my brother had a birthday party, and we grew up in Greenville, which is part of North Hempstead. And so of course a lot of people from the party haven't seen in so long, and they were, from, our neighborhood. And they were laughing because they said when they visit their grandparents, they'll be flipping through North Hempstead TV, and they're like, "Oh my God, we see you all the time on North Hempstead TV," And I was like, "Oh, it's great," and then we stop and watch it, So it's nice because when you have that TV component, you're like, "Oh, well, let me check this out," like what they're
Right.
talking about. So it's really great to be able to spread the word in that, and certainly, I mean, a shout out to WCWP for making us available on their YouTube page as well, because to be able to send that link around is just wonderful. Our last week we had an incredible guest on, and she is the mindfulness dermatologist on
Right.
Instagram,
Mindful dermatology.
and she has really been promoting her segment so much. She keeps sending me all this stuff, and it's a great way to get that network and get the word out. And she had posted the link to her YouTube interview with us. So it's just great to be able to kind of spread the word, because that's what the goal is. We said we can't necessarily provide everything, but we can certainly give you all the information about different things you can do to just age in place, and just and more so, this show is clearly a community kind of thing, and these topics, where some might be more geared towards seniors, really are beneficial to anyone, of any, because we're all about proactive. So prevention and proactive measures.
There you go. Love
So
and planning. The 3 P's.
that's right, the P's.
Prevention,
We're very into all
proactive,
the
and
P's.
planning. Right.
But talking about our e-newsletter, we have so much information in there, and I want to touch upon some of the stuff that is coming up in June. So as I mentioned earlier, we have our social discussion group, and that's virtual. That meets on Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. We have a new group that just kicked off, which is called Healing After Loss Support Group. So one of our social workers, Gina, based upon people she was talking with, developed this group. It's going to meet on Thursdays, and it meets at Magnolia Gardens at 11:30 a.m. to 12:30. And it's all just about grief, and grief is a natural response to loss. It's the emotional suffering you feel when something or someone you love is taken away. This group will discuss the 5 stages of grief and the various coping methods to, facilitate in the healing process. So I think that's just absolutely wonderful. And she had a really great turnout at the first meeting yesterday was. So I'm really proud of our social workers for always coming up with these really great programs. We have, of course, our Golden Hearts bingo and blood pressure screening program. That's over at the Roslyn Community Center. That's on Thursdays at 12 p.m. We have This Life of Mine sharing and creating new memories through journaling program. It's been at a bunch of different locations. Right now, this one is at the Port Washington Library. And it's really about just guided journaling, and it just stimulates memories, and it's just great because you kind of walk away with this wonderful little keepsake at the end for your family and friends. So great benefits. Speaking of, all the host of benefits that you can have in a program, it's certainly in this one. So call 311 if you're interested to be a part of that program. Our men's group is Fridays at 10:30 a.m. That is also virtual or in person. In person, it's at the Hillside Public Library. Have to say, facilitated the tech component of that group a couple of weeks back, and I was just blown away by the group. They all have very different opinions. It's quite the showcase of different men within North Hempstead, but they all were respectful to one another and never got belligerent or angry or fights. It was everyone kind of let each other speak, which was just so nice to see. It was really just wonderful. So definitely, if you are a man living in North Hempstead, certainly give a call. Our Blankets of Love group, which is our
They're so wonderful.
just incredible. I can't say enough incredible things about them. But they crochet these beautiful blankets at rapid speed, and that meets on Tuesdays at Clengie Martin Park at 1 p.m. I mean, I can't even keep up with the amount of donations they do. It is like I said, they really could have a business going because they just do it so fast. We can't even keep up with supplying them with all the yarn they need because they're just incredible. And they not only make, and this I have to give a shout out to, I guess it was a couple of days ago, we had a resident who celebrated her 100th birthday. It was featured on News 12, and her senior group that she was a part of, did a whole party for her. It was just, and she was just incredible. And our Blankets of Love women made her this beautiful shawl and presented it to her at it. And and she modeled it absolutely beautifully. But it was just so nice. I love, what those women, they donate to our veterans in North Hempstead. I mean, and then just the list of organizations that they make, baby hats for, lap blankets. I mean, just incredible things. So
And you know what else about them? This is wonderful what they're doing, but they've become such dear friends.
yep,
And
absolutely.
the social aspect of it, and it's just wonderful.
It
I
is.
mean,
I love to
they're
walk past
artists.
them.
Right. When you walk in
Yeah.
there, like you never know
Yeah.
what the topic is that they're talking about. They're all working together on their, beautiful artistry.
And like a dual test. That's definitely
There
dual
you go.
tasking.
And they're
Because
friends, and
yeah.
they're. I mean, it's been going on for years and
Years.
years, and it's just such a
And it's
lovely,
grown. I
lovely
mean,
thing.
I remember when it was just a couple of women, and now it is like 20 plus, like half the time in that room, and it's just right back. And that's my favorite thing too. And I always say to people about all of our Project Independence programs, it doesn't have to stop at the program. Once that hour is over, it doesn't mean you don't, like the friendships that can be built. And I always share this story, but I'm going to share it again, with the advisory committee. I remember Hazel, who we absolutely love, and she was one of the first members of Project Independence. And, she was saying she had felt detached in the community. And this was many years ago when we just kind of started, it was still the North days. And she was saying she felt so detached in her community, and this was a common feeling that a lot of the group members had because they had been, they didn't have children in the home anymore. New people were coming in with kids, and when you don't have kids in the same school district, you kind of can feel disconnected, and she had felt that way. And she was saying coming to Project Independence, she was able to feel a part of the neighborhood again. And I remember that always struck me so well, because here it is, like she's like, come as advisor, like you felt in ownership. And I think that's what Project Independence gives to the seniors of Hempstead. Like you have that piece of like, this is ours, and it's just it's so wonderful. So call through. And want to take a little cough. Hold on one second.
Yeah. So any questions you have about any of the programs, any of the services, you can always call 311 516-869-6311 from anywhere, from any phone, or 311 from your home phone works best. But the one thing that Kristina was talking about, so if you've missed anything, get on that email newsletter. It is so wonderful, and we're up to 5,000 people, and that doesn't even include the Pioneer newsletter,
right,
which goes to every home in North Hempstead with somebody who is 60 or over that lives in the home. I mean, that's even a bigger number. I don't even know what that number is. Probably 50,000 or 40.
Yeah, it's about, and but mind you, and that's just one per household. So that it's not necessarily 50. It's even more than that.
There's more people, right? The population's higher up. It's just that just goes to the households with people that
absolutely
might have somebody who's
and this newsletter, I have it in front of me, the e-newsletter, and it's just pages and pages.
I know it's getting thicker and thicker every week.
So we also have a coping with loss support group that's facilitated by Krista, who's one of our social workers, and that's at the Hillside Library on Wednesdays.
How does that differ, Kristina, from the grief?
So the coping with loss is more so the death of a spouse or like, a very close loved one. The grief can be so many different things.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
It's like, and that's like loss almost in a bigger sense even, so it's not as specific to that.
I actually went into the coping with loss support group and did a pranayama, did a little breathing exercise, and it was so moving. It was, and they were, of course, I came in kind of toward the end. But they welcomed me in and continued with, their grieving. And it was, like you said, it was a spouse. Someone had lost their grandchild. It was like depths, and yet sharing in that environment and the way that Krista, and it was her first time running it, got them to talk about it. And it was like so very, I don't want to say rewarding, but you're able to release and feel like you're not alone,
and that's exactly, because that's the picture, as I stare down, is that you are not alone. Because
Right.
I think that, and that's what's so important for any kind of support group, whatever you might be dealing with, and I think just humans in general, take age out of the picture, just to hear. I mean, sometimes I'll speak about my own self, like during COVID, it's like I was dealing with so much heavy anxiety, and then talking it out, especially on this show, being able to kind of work through that. Okay, I'm not alone. I'm not like just dealing with these crazy thoughts and fears, and it is that release, and to get that out and to get that validation that other people as well are struggling with the same things or have the same thoughts. And it's just a wonderful exchange of information too, because to find out, like, well, I tried this, to help me, cope with these things. And like, so it's just this sharing of information is just, is so important in all these projects.
Right. It was interesting. Like there was this, wife who did everything. Like she did, the husband was like very work, but she always did all the bills. She did all that kind of stuff. So she was in a different place, and there was a guy there who never did any of it. His wife did it all, and she passed. And so like his struggles, although they're missing a spouse, he's so kind of lost in different ways, So everyone's story is different. And so these are wonderful. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back to our last segment of Project Independence, of course, Talk of the Town, after we take a quick break. You're listening to 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We will be right back.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Kristina Liu and Dan Cox. We've been talking. We're in the Talk of the Town segment. Had a wonderful guest. Kristina, we are really fast approaching. Is it an anniversary in September?
Yeah.
How many years now have you been coordinating?
It's going to be our 12th anniversary.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it'll be our 12th. Yeah, it'll be our 12th anniversary. So we'll be going into our 13th year. Lucky number 13th, baby.
Wow, that is just.
But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of shows. But such great information. One of my favorite things ever as part of my job. So, but back to the news over here. I want to take a little break from the Project Independence programs, because I just got a great program that's going to be going on at the Great Neck Social Center on Wednesday, June 14th at 1 p.m. You can go to our advisory and then just go right over to that.
Exactly. Perfect day.
But it's Assemblywoman Gina Stiletti, in conjunction with the New York State Attorney General, Letitia James's office, is providing a really great program, Don't Fall for Fraud, helping our seniors spot the scam. TJ Hatter, who we've had on our show before, is going to go over just how to protect yourself, how to recognize, and like what to do if you do fall victim about this. So you can call 311 for more information about that. But I think it's great that throughout the town, there's these kind of little programs going on as well.
Always stay informed. It's so important.
Right. And I think the key is, if God forbid you do fall victim, to report it. Because then you're able to, listen, it's very hard, obviously, to track these people down, but the more information and the more reports, and then we're able to spread the word, so it's really, really important to not feel shame in a situation and to report it, because you can help to stop that from happening to somebody else. So I'm
pretty sure that it's safe to say by now that every person who ever, at any adult age, as teenage going all the way to 100, has fallen for some scam. We have all been victim. We have, all had somebody affected, from, minor to serious. So,
absolutely.
but if you don't let the police know, if you don't let people know, they can't kind of investigate and figure out how to stop it. So, there shouldn't be shame. It happens to all of us.
Course,
I mean, every day, and they try various ways when, because, whether it's sending an erroneous text from motor vehicle or, claiming to be somebody in your family needing immediate money, very rarely does that ever happen. Like we talked about last week, and Otto had that great code word. Have a code word with family members. So if you get a call like that, only you and that person or the family group know that word. And then if they don't know that word, they're scamming you. Yeah. So, it's just be aware. There's no shame in it. It's really, it's a crime against you. So let's try to let people know, and let's let the police know and let them investigate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So definitely check that out. And of course you can listen to our show when we talk about that as well. It is crazy because we are now in June. And I just received Town North Hempstead's free summer events that go on. Of course, there's a bunch of different concerts that go on at different locations throughout the town. It kicks off on June 21st over at Manor Haven Beach Park. It's such a variety of stuff. On top of the concerts they have, there's also some concerts in August, and it's such a variety of music there's literally something for everyone as I just look at this list. There's also going to be Shakespeare in the Park again. That's on June 24th at 6 p.m. at Clark Botanic Garden. There's Wednesday movies in the park that kicks off July 12th at Clark Botanic Garden too. So there's a really, really great list. Obviously, as we get closer, we'll promote each thing that's coming up. But I love like each year just seeing the list of stuff because it's such a variety of different people and new ones. It's a lot of new names that I didn't see last year. So that is the summer events. And also at all these different parks, the town is partnering with North Shore University Hospital, Northwell Health, to provide free SPF 30 sunscreen little containers to, you'll see like a little dispenser. So you can go, and this is at Manhasset Valley Park, at Clingy Martin Park, at Tully Park, Whitney Pond Park. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's in Port Washington, there's a bunch in Roslyn Heights, in Newcastle, and Great Neck, and Garden City. There's so many different locations for these, and I love seeing that. I've actually seen it because it's great. You might have forgotten. You might not have realized it was going to be so hot that day. It was certainly, that was like last weekend for me. I'd be outside for a little bit, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I did not anticipate I was going to be out this long. And as you learned from our segment last week, it's so important to do these preventative sunscreen kind of measures and clothing options as well. So I was yelling at everyone. I said, put a hat on, put long sleeves on. It's just, it's definitely important. And then there's a bunch of different wellness Wednesdays the town is providing also. And on July 12th is going to be a free skin cancer screening at Clinton G. Martin Park at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's on a first come, first served basis. But I just think that's so great that this is going to be available there. So we will definitely promote that as we get closer to, because it's certainly important to get checked often. So. And Beck, give us a little, and also what summer is, there's Fun Day Monday. Give us a little rundown on what's to come this Fun Day Monday.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of things going on, some of the usual and some little add-ons, some things that we did before COVID that are coming back this year. So I have I have the schedule right here. So we have our kickoff, which is July 10th with Stan and Edie. And every day, every Fun Day Monday, there will be pickleball from 9 a.m. to 11. And there'll be open courts the whole time, but from 9 to 10, and then from 10 to 11, there'll be lessons. So I think it's just kind of as you come in, you can hop in and just pick up some, pick up a paddle or bring your own. Kimberly actually said that they're getting some new nets that are a little bit more easier to set up. So we're looking forward to that. So that's pickleball. And then we have line dancing, and we actually added a second class. So we're starting at 9 a.m. To do line dancing, and then a second line dancing class at 10 a.m. So that's 2 hours of line dance. It's so popular.
Yeah.
So, we got 2 classes. So that's kind of new. And we're going to have Cindy teach Tai Chi. She's going to do Tai Chi, and she does Tai Chi for balance and health. So she's more focused on the balance end of it. I mean, Tai Chi is a lot. It's really stems from balance, but it's part of a full balance program. So she'll be teaching that, I believe, at 11. So that's going to be going on every day. Of course, we're going to have Vincent Rhodes, who has come in the past. We have our health fair on July 24th. And then one of my favorites, Beatles, and they're a Beatles tribute band, and I think they played the first time. Kim and I have been talking about for years, do we want a Beatles tribute band at Fun Day Monday? And you know what? It's everybody knows. I mean, by now, all of our seniors really, it came around right before I was born, and they've been around ever since. So apparently it was a blast. I was actually away that week, so I didn't hear, but I just heard how wonderful they are. So we're having them come back, and that's my friend Bob Souls in that band, and he'll be there. And then August 7th is Dance Aloha, and we'll have our Elvis tribute. We like to partner them together, like Dance Aloha comes, and they were a hoot last time. I mean, they got everybody up dancing, and they were going from tables to even if you weren't kind of centered by where we have the entertainment, they went to you. So, and they got everybody. It was so much fun. And then Elvis will come on after. And this is the first year I'm very excited about, August 14th. It's the Rat Pack tribute. So it's going to be one guy is Frank Sinatra, and then another guy does Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. So they're going to work kind of together.
Oh, great. That's going to be such a great one.
So that's going to be wonderful. Hometown USA, the last one is August 21st. We do our salute to the troops, and there's a vintage car show and the Quatrain Quartet, and they stroll after they do their performance for the up on the main stage, and then Bud and Linda. So it's a lot. And of course, the rain dates are always that Thursday. And it's not just rain dates, it's also if it's hot. So if you wake up in the morning and it's like super hot, don't just assume that we're going to have it. So please always call 311. They'll be informed by the latest 8:30 in the morning if we're doing it or not. So yeah, it's exciting.
And there's also a lot of transportation, bus stops.
Lots of transportation, call 311 about that as well. And there's a lot of stuff, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, I don't even know how many stops there are in different areas. So give a call about that.
Great. And I just think it's fun. I just can't believe we're actually here. And all of a sudden, summer is rapidly approaching us, and it's just, I don't know where it came from.
I don't know. I know I started booking in February for it.
Right. I know. I remember it just seemed so far away, and then now it's just around the corner. But all of that stuff, it's something that is very synonymous with the summers of North Hempstead. So
at North Hempstead Beach Park, always. 175 Shore Road in Port Washington.
And just like a little plug for North Hempstead Beach Park too, because on top of Fun Day Monday being there, it's just nice because it's a smaller, contained beach situation, so you're able to, on top of going to this Fun Day Monday program, you're able to go sit on the beach if you wanted to, so there's just so many, and it's not so overwhelming to, walk around there, which is really nice about that. So, are they doing any kind of walking tour or anything this year, Beck? Do you know?
I'm not 100% sure if we're doing that this year at Fun Day Monday, but I'm pretty sure that there will be some other types of something like that. So they're working on that. But at this time, it's not on the Fun Day Monday schedule. Doesn't mean it won't come up at a later time, or that there
we
will
will certainly promote it here if it does.
I went on one when we did it at Clark Botanic Garden. That was wonderful. That was really nice.
Yeah, and that's what I just I was thinking, because I know there's just so many beautiful locations, especially at the beach, to do that too. So the St. Francis Cardiac Screening Van is Tuesday, June 8th. That's going to be at Manhasset Valley. And then on June 14th, it'll be at Magnolia Gardens over in Westbury. And this is through our partnership with Catholic Health, St. Francis Hospital and Heart Center. There's free screenings, including a brief cardiac history, blood pressure, a simple blood test for cholesterol, and diabetes screenings, and just a lot of referrals, which is just, and you do not need to make an appointment, which is the best part, of course, of this, because I just love that you can just hop on the van and just get like these wonderful screenings, and it's really just like an initial snapshot of things for you, so you can either be referred to something else or just see kind of what's going on. Of course, we have our Fridays at the Yes We Can Community Center. The Matter of Balance class, unfortunately, is filled up, but after that, we have What in the World is Going On, which is the current events group. Then we have on June 16th, a heart-to-heart bingo and blood pressure screenings with one of our nurses, Kelly, with social worker Gina. And as you mentioned, you could also do some Color Me Calm stuff as well there, and pick up your sheets, or certainly do it there too. So that's a great program, a full fun day on Fridays at the Yes We Can Community Center.
And I believe there's only, I'm checking my schedule, I believe
there's a
only
June 9th, yeah, so it's June 9th and June 16th are the only 2 days in June, and June 16th is only heart-to-heart bingo. They don't have a June 9th date, so it's just June 16th for heart-to-heart bingo.
Right, so
you can always call 311 if you did not get any of this information, and get a full schedule of dates to mark your calendar.
Right, and also with the fitness classes, there's just 2 more weeks, so
Yes.
it's the week of June 2nd next week, and then the week after, and that Friday, the second Friday, would be the last class for fitness for this season, though I am starting to map out fall of 2023.
Wow, amazing. And then we have a food safety bingo program, which is through our partnership with Cornell Cooperative. And that's going to be Wednesday, June 21st. I love when they always kind of end the season with food safety bingo, because you're having fun, but you're really learning important tips on how to keep food safe. And we've had that topic on the show. And I remember, Beck, we were blown away by kind of how you're supposed to store certain things, and where in your fridge to store things, and just different temperatures, and when to kind of get rid of the leftovers that you've had sitting in your fridge for a long time. So definitely encourage people to check that out. That's on June 21st at 11 a.m. at Magnolia Gardens. So definitely see that. Then there's still some space, I believe, available in the ARP driving course Saturday, June 17th. If there is not availability when you call 311, their next date is September 9th. Always encourage people to do this defensive driving class, not only for the points that can be taken off your license or the deduction and insurance, but really to just learn information. I always think it's a good refresher. I mean, when I do mine, every 3 years, I think you have to do it.
Yeah.
I always learn something new, just when you think like you knew it all and, I've been driving for so long, there's really always something new to learn. So that is $25 for ARP members, and it's $30 for non-members. So definitely call 311 to schedule that as well. Also in our email newsletter, we have great information on our transportation program that I just want to give such a big shout out to, because Beck, you're very involved with Shari, facility manager, on all things transportation. So if you are in need of, free food shopping transportation or discounted medical transportation,
door to door,
absolutely, door to door, please call 311 and schedule that. And it's just, what I thought was great in response, this just happened yesterday. In response to the e-newsletter, someone brought up the disability transportation and wanted to get signed up, so they sent an email about it. So it's just just spreading the information.
Right. Well, great stuff. Really good stuff. As always, there's so much going on with Project Independence. Kristina, another great show. Dan Cox, thank you so much. Any information you want regarding Project Independence or any of the guests, you can always call 311-516-869-6311. Otherwise, wishing everybody a healthy and a fun weekend, and we'll be back next week with the guest that Kristina announced. Have a wonderful weekend. You're listening to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Take care all.